I'm Idit Ohel, and I'm Alon's mother. I'm Ronen's mother also, and in Bar. Alon has two other siblings, brother and sister. But obviously today we'll be talking about Alon. I'll be talking about just like telling you about him and what kind of boy he was, and what kind of man he became. I will talk about and show you about the 7th of October, what Alon went through and what we went through as a family. And then I'll just talk, about how we are coping and what we've been doing from the 7th of October till today. But before we start, I want to show you Alon's brother. He's a musician. He plays the guitar, and he made contact with this musician in Israel. His name is Avishai Cohen. And Avishai Cohen has this song. It's called Shuvu Elai, which is Come to Me in English. And what they did is they did this. They did the song again, but instead of saying "Come to me," "Come to us." And it's a beautiful song, and all Alon's friends from the music school did this together. But what you'll see is this big dance we did all over in Misgav. That's where we live. Okay, we live in Misgav in Israel. It's in the north. And we just brought like about 200 people from the community, from Misgav community, and we did this beautiful dance. The first part of it is with like a nova, and then they're dancing to the song. So I know you don't know much Hebrew, but it's a beautiful song, and you can see the dance. So I will show you to you, and until other people come in, you'll be I think you'll be good. So let's see where it is. Just once. Okay. Just tell me if you can see it on the whole screen, or you can see other things.
No, it's good. It's the whole
Yeah,
screen.
yeah, it's full. Okay.
Yep, you're good.
So I'm starting. If there's no music, if you can't hear, just tell me and I'll stop it and change. So I'll tell you, you can just read Alon Ohel, who grew up in the Galil, is a musical and creative person. Alon is currently being held hostage in Gaza. His family, together with hundreds of people from the Galil, choose to continue to be in movement and to create, doing so strengthening us and our loved ones who cannot move, and make us a circle of strength, togetherness, light, and hope. And yep.
תלכי הלילה לבדך, הכוכבים ילוו אותך, רוח ים תלחש של תוך ליבך, תמלא את גופך, ואם תבקשי את חום גופי, אני אצא ללילה, אחפש כוכב שיאיר את דרכי, ואותי אלייך יביא. שובי אליי, שובי אלינו, בשבילך, בשביל שנינו, שובי אליי, שובי אלינו, בשבילך, בשביל שנינו. אם תלכי הלילה לבדך, הכוכבים ילוו אותך, רוח ים תלחש אל תוך ליבך, תמלא את גופך. ואם תבקשי את חום גופי, אני אצא ללילה, אחפש כוכב שיאיר דרכי. שובו אליי, שובו אלינו, בשבילכם, בשבילנו. 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 שובו אליי.
Okay, I think the dance speaks for itself.
Else?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I can hear myself.
No, oh, you are recording. I don't know why. Nothing changed.
I think you are. Let me see. It's so weird. I can hear myself. Okay. Just 1 second. Okay. You're all muted? No, this is not muted. Not this one. Okay. Okay, now I can speak. Okay. So Alon is my oldest. He celebrated, or I don't know if you can say celebrated, but he turned 23 on the 10th of February in Gaza, in captivity. He was taken when he was kidnapped when he was 22. Alon is just a beautiful person, really. He has so many things that he wants and wanted to do and still does in his life. I can say that I'll show you some pictures of him when he was young, so you can be more, let me see. Okay. Why did I do that? Okay. Can you see a full screen of his pictures? I hope you get. Okay. Okay. Okay.
תגיד מה זה קודם.
So you can see Alon with his brother when he was young. Alon from a very young age, even when he was in my belly, I used to, put headphones on my belly, and so he could listen to classical music and just any kind of music. So when he was around 9 years old, he really wanted to play the piano. And he told me, Mom, I want to play the piano. And I was thinking, okay, what we're going to do? Piano is a big, big, big instrument. We're going to put this big piano. So we bought him like a keyboard, and he played in his room. And then, and after that, we brought a teacher to teach him, a music teacher to teach him piano lessons. And it was about like a bit between 2 or 3 lessons when she came and played with him and taught him. And she came out of the room on the third lesson, and she said, Alon he's got talent. This is small for him. You have to buy him a piano. So we bought him a piano. I think it took us about like a month and a half to get a good piano in the house. And from that moment, Alon and the piano were, as best friends, as you say. And he played every day, and sometimes I had to remind him to play, but he loved it. And he continued to play even when he got older. As any child, he decided to play and to learn music at school. So he majored in music, and he studied really well. When he got to studying, his teacher said, you were really good at it and you should do a recital. Now a recital in Israel, it's like you major in music, but you can major in music, which is fine. But if you do like a recital, you get more points in school. So firstly, he was really scared about that. He said, there's like too much things that to do, too many, it's too scary and everything, so I don't want to do that. But when he got to his senior year, he told his teacher, well, I decided I want to do this recital. And she was like, how are you going to do a recital for only half a month, like a half a year to get ready? This is like a big thing. You need to study these music, classical music. It's like 5 acts, like Mozart, Bach, whatever, and it's really hard. And he said, no, I don't care. I'm going to do it. And I'll show you. There's like here he's playing one of his at the recital. He's playing a Clou de Lune, Debussy. I'll show you. So like any other, in Israel, we live in a different world, as you can say. And he finished high school, and he in the army. Alon was in the Navy, and he really felt that he was important, and he did good things there. And I think like about 3 months before he finished the army, he knew that he wanted to travel all over Asia. But he also knew that if he wanted to travel, he needs to get some money. He needs to earn money so he'll have enough money to travel. So he decided that he needs to work. But in Israel, if you work in certain places that are considered, how do I say, more something that is more relevant for it's like special jobs, like working in like hotels and stuff like that. You get extra money for just working at those places. So he was very, he knows what he wants in life. And he thought about um, working at this place called the Six Senses in Shacharut. Shacharut is about like 45 minutes from Eilat. So if you know about Israel, Eilat is all the way down south. So it's really far from where we are. We are at the north, and he wanted to work there. And so he started working, and he really loved it. He worked there for about 8 months. Just as you will know, the Six Senses Hotel in Shacharut is one of the 10 best hotels in the world. So it's like really like good vibes, and he really loved working there. And the people there were just like him, you know, youngsters after the army working all together, and he had a good time. And so like a month before that, he knew, before he finished, like about 8 months after, he went and traveled to Asia. He started at Vietnam, and then he went to the Philippines. Here in the middle picture, you can see him at this pub that he went into, just, you know, to have a drink. And then he saw that there was a piano there. So he started playing. I can show you Alon, you know, he studied classical music, but he's in his heart, he's a jazzist, definitely. He plays jazz. He loves to, you know, to just have fun with the keys, and so he really had a good time in the Philippines. And then from the Philippines, he went to Sri Lanka and Nepal, and then to India. And after I went to India, he came to Thailand, and on the right, the left picture that you see is in Bangkok airport. So me, my husband, and I and my young Alon sister, we came to meet him in Thailand after 5 months that we haven't seen him. So I see him like at the airport, far away, and he can see me. So he's all running to hug me, and my husband takes this picture, and I must say that this is one of the pictures that I really want to hug him again and see him again real soon. So I'm waiting for this picture and his smile. Alon obviously has a lot of family. He loves family. The picture you see in the middle is Alon with his brother and sister. Yeah, this was taken on Rosh Hashanah Eve, which is like a month and a half before the kidnapping. And on the left, you can see all our family and together, and we leave together at Lavon. We are from Lavon, and my parents live not far away, but my husband's sister and brother both live in Lavon, so we're really close. Well, I'll just stop it for a while, and you can see me. It's hard to in the Zoom to also speak and show you pictures, but I wanted to just you feel like about Alon and see him and see the family before so you can, you know, feel more part of us and understand us better. So on the 7th of October, Alon decided, like hastily, that he's going to this party, to the Nova Festival. Alon, because he loves music, obviously, he goes to these kind of music festivals, all kinds of music Alon loves. It's not just, he loves different kinds, and he decided to go on a whim, as I said, because on Friday morning he said, oh, I got these tickets and I think about going. And I said, okay, are you sure? And he said, yeah, it's going to be fun with my friends. I haven't seen them for a very long time, because Obviously, he just got a month before to Israel after his long trip in abroad, and he so I said fine. He went. We were at my parents' house for Simchat Torah, and we came back home. Alon, before he has this thing, before he goes anywhere, even when he comes home, but usually before he goes, he plays the piano, even for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. For him, it's like an object that, how do you say it? It's like, for him, it's like going, like it defines like the outside and the inside. So when he comes out from outside, wherever he's been, to the house, he plays the piano, and before he goes, he plays the piano again. I think it helps him be more, centered somehow. So he was playing the piano, and he usually closes the piano. Alon did not close the piano. The piano is open. If you play, and there's just like the case, so it's still open, and it's and we leave it open until he returns and plays again. And he drove. Actually, he didn't drive. My son, his brother, they had, because we live far away, they had to figure out who is going to take the car today, right, to drive whatever. Alon's brother, on that same year, in August, that same year, which is also a month and a half before the kidnapping, did his, how do I say, like, I forget the names, was in Be'eri, Kibbutz Be'eri. Probably you heard about Kibbutz Be'eri, where it is right by the border with Gaza, where many were killed, like 100 were killed and murdered, and he lived there with them for a whole year, just helping and being there just before he enrolled in the army also. So he was going to go also to Be'eri, but he decided at like in a second that he is not going and he will go somewhere else. So he just left Alon with his friends, and Alon drove with 4 other friends to the Nova Festival. They got there about like 6 in the morning. So he had like a half an hour, 40 minutes of dancing, and then the rockets started to happen. And there are many rockets, and everybody's like hysteric. What's going on? What's going on? So they, like any good boys and girls in Israel, they knew that they have to get cover from the rockets. So they went into the car, thinking about driving back home, north. But the police stopped them, told them they cannot continue, and so they turned the car and drove south. One of Alon's friends in the car said, we should stop and enter this bomb shelter because we don't know what's going on. So let's just go inside and then we'll see what happened. Maybe in 10 or, I don't know, 15 minutes, everything will go over and then we can go back home. So they stopped the car, they parked in front of the bomb shelter, and I'll share you the pictures of okay. So what you see on the left is the bomb shelter. Okay, this is, I don't know if you heard about Hirsch Goldenberg, but Hirsch was in that bomb shelter with Alon. Okay, Alon was kidnapped with Hirsch in this bomb shelter on the left. And then you see on the left, you see Alon, and then you see Elia Cohen, which also was kidnapped with him. And on the right, you can see Alon with his friend who was murdered that day. But this is in the bomb shelter before the Hamas comes in. So there are in that bomb shelter about 24 people. Now you have to understand this bomb shelter, usually if there's something going on, it's like the door is open, as you can see. It's not for to keep people out. It's just to make sure that you don't get any rockets on you, right? It's just to keep, your body against rockets and missiles and stuff like that. But this bomb shelter is very small. It's about like 2 meters, okay, and 1.5 by 2 meters. It's very small. So usually most, like maybe 5-6 people can be inside and okay with it. There were 24 people that day, okay, which is a lot. And at that time, they were the first ones who came, and then later, like Hirsch Goldenberg, for instance, they came later to the bomb shelter. And then at that time, my husband, it was about like 6:30, 7 in the morning, and we wake up and we take the dog out for a walk. And my father calls us and says, where is Alon? Do you know where Alon is? And I said, yes, of course, at the Nova Festival, you know that. And he said, no, there's something going on. Where is Alon exactly? Do you know exactly right now where he is? And I said, okay, we'll check. So my husband writes him. He says in Hebrew, it says, what's happening? What's with you? And then Alon says, well, we are at the bomb shelter and everything is okay. So my husband sends him a thumbs up and then says, send us pictures so we'll see that you're okay. And that is it. And that's the last time we heard from Alon. This was at 8 o'clock in the morning. At that time, Alon is being grabbed and taken kidnapped to Gaza. His phone actually fell. There's no reception in the bomb shelter, okay? So when he was kidnapped, brutally taken, this is when his phone fell, and that's why the message was sent. It's about 8 o'clock. Let me see. So at that, I'll stop sharing for a second. We come home, obviously from taking out the dog, and we open the TV and we see that there's something going on in the Gaza Strip, and so we're trying. My daughter at this time, she takes her cell phone, and she calls Alon every like 5 or 10 minutes, all the time. She calls and she calls and she calls and she calls, and then suddenly, at about 11:30 in the afternoon, the phone, somebody picks up the phone, and there's like an answer. And she comes running to me and she says, Mommy, there's somebody on the phone. And I take the phone, and this woman, she speaks really, really, so nobody will hear her, like really, really. She says, they're Hamas and they're shooting at us. And it's scary, and we need help, and please call the police and do something. And I ask her, where you are, because I don't know where she is, right? I don't know at that time I know that they're in a bomb shelter, but I don't know which bomb shelter, because Alon didn't write. So I ask her where you are, where are you? And she says, we're at Re'im bomb shelter. And I said, okay, what's your name? Because she's really frightened. So I say, what's your name? And she says, my name is Amit. And okay, what's going on? Do you know where Alon is? And she says, I don't know who Alon is. I don't know. I just picked up this phone. It just fell, and I just see it on the, on the floor, and I just picked up it. And then the phone went dead. So my husband calls the police, and they're like, what's going on? What are you talking about? This is fake news. The police at that time was like, didn't know what's going on. This is 11:30 in the afternoon, right? So my daughter continues because it happens once. So she continues and calls again. And then at like about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, this guy answers the phone. And he says, my name is Zayan, and I said, okay, what's going on? He says, I've taken 7 injured people from the bomb shelter, and we are at Soroka Hospital. And I'm with the phone, and we ask him, okay, did Alon where is Alon? Is he okay? And we send him a picture of Alon, to Alon's phone, obviously. And he said, I'll see. And then he calls us back 10 minutes after, and he says, I don't see Alon. Alon is not here. What happened is that out of the 24 people there, after Alon was kidnapped with Hirsch and Eli Cohen and Orlevi, the Hamas comes in and shoots everybody. Okay, so there are like 20 people inside, and 27, sorry. So there are 23 people in there, and they're shooting everybody. But 7 survived, because the 7 that survived, there were 2 things. Firstly, they weren't injured. This like Alon's friends, there are 2 friends who survived. One was shot in the hand, and the other she was shot in the leg. But what happened was that bodies fell on bodies. So they were like, if your body was, so they were like, the people who survived because other bodies fell on them. So 7 survived, 4 were kidnapped, and all the others were murdered. So my husband understands that Alon is not, I don't know where Alon is, but he thinks, okay, maybe he's a John Doe, maybe he got to the hospital, but because he's like unconscious or something, nobody knows. So he takes the car and drives to Soroka Hospital, which is, it's 2.5 hours from us. Okay, that's how far it is. 2.5, sometimes 3 hours, depending on traffic. So he's all seeing, driving there, and he's thinking, okay, what's going on? His head is all, his brother was with him. So they get to Soroka Hospital. It's a chaos there and everything, and he understands that obviously Alon is not there, but he calls his friend from the army. He got connections with friends, and he says, I'm in this terrible ordeal, and I need your help. I really need your help. Tell me where Alon is. We need to find Alon. And like an hour and a half later, Kobe is still in the hospital. He calls him and he says, leave the hospital. You have nothing to do there. There's nothing for you to do there. So my husband says, okay, I will stay for another half an hour, and then he leaves. And when he leaves, during driving back home, he calls them, his friend, and he says, what's going on? Why did you tell me to leave? What's going on? And he says to him, when I first called you and told you there's nothing for you to do there, we knew that out of the 7 who survived, all the others were murdered. But now I can tell you that 4 were kidnapped, and Alon is one of them. Alon was kidnapped alive. So he's all driving back home, and he's driving and knowing that that Alon was kidnapped. I want to show you what I'm going to show you now is obviously the kidnapping. I'm just, yeah, okay. I'm going to show you what happened that day, a footage. I think it's important because, people forget, sadly, people forget what happened. And sometimes many people ask me, how do you know? Is it true? So I think the video is important, so I will show you. Just a moment. With your permission. It will take me a second because we're on Zoom. Okay. I will share. Okay. Well.
ايوه هات ناس من جوا هات يلا حمل بقى شيل حمل.
Okay, but from that was Hirsch before, and this is a kidnapping of Alon.
شيل معاه حمل هات معاه شيل.
Usually, it's like a 2-minute thing. Usually, I have a bigger. There a lot of things happened that day. They were throwing before Alon was kidnapped. The Hamas threw many grenades, like about 10 grenades, into the bomb shelter, and this really heroic person called Anil Shapira took the grenade in his hand and threw it out. Alon was in the front of the bomb shelter. He also took a grenade and threw it out. So many things happened. This Bedouin guy went outside and said that tried to save the people inside by saying that he's Muslim and everybody inside they don't have any guns or anything. They're just children and they shouldn't do anything, but that didn't help and they murdered him. So I didn't want to show you all that, but as you can see, Alon was taken alive, and that is what we know, and that is what we continue believing and hoping and everything. So this is what happened, and we as a family, we were thinking, okay, what are we going to do? So Kobe comes home that day, and it wasn't that day, it was night. It was about like 1 o'clock at night, and I'm thinking, okay, what? Let me just do this. Okay. And that. Why doesn't it go up? Okay, this was the okay. So Kobe comes home and tells me that Alon was kidnapped alive, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? What as he's telling me this, I'll stop sharing for a second so you can see me. So he walks up, to the house, and I'm there with my my kids, and he's telling me this, and I remember at that moment I'm closing my eyes and I'm breathing really deeply, and I'm thinking, okay, what I'm gonna do? They are my children, and they're looking at me, and whatever I will say, whatever comes out of my mouth will be, this is it. They're seeing what the mother will think, what the mother will do, what their mother will, and they're all, like this. So when Kobe tells me that, and I just say, so we are going to fight, and we are going to do everything we can to save Alon and to bring him back home. And that is it. And from that moment, everything we have been doing is into thinking about two things. To what house, to what home Alon is going to come back to. It's not just our home, our physical home and things that he wants. It's our community and our, in the society, in Israeli society. To what home they are going to come back to? Is it going to be a broken home? Is it going to be a united home? Is it going to be a home where they can give and get whatever they need, to live their lives? And another thing where I'm thinking about, like, how people are gonna know about Alon? Because at that moment, I'm thinking, okay, I can only control my thoughts. I have only control about how I react. I have no control over Alon. What they're doing to him, if he's getting sunlight, if he's getting food, I have no control over that. So I cannot be at this place. You cannot be at a place where you have no control over. So I'm always in a place, in my family, at a place where we can control, which is doing things to continue advocating and for our son. And doing that got us to everything we've been doing so far. It's about the yellow piano. So at that time, you have to understand there were like about 246 hostages, and we're thinking, okay, this is a number. We heard about numbers, 6 million Jews, and Alon's grandfather was in Auschwitz, and he had a number on his hand until the day he died. And I'm thinking, Alon cannot be a number. Alon needs to have a face and know him. People need to know about him, what he wants in life. He loves music, yeah, but he loves cars, and he has such amazing, things about that. And he loves gourmet food, and he has many things that he loves and wants to do in his life. But because Alon loves music, we started the thing about the yellow piano, and the great thing about the yellow piano is that it's just so moving and so wonderful. But before I do, I can see, okay. I just continue. Okay. What it says, I'm just showing, okay, so on the right, people, that's how people perceive us, right? The family with a kidnapped person, kidnapped child. But on the left, it says in Hebrew, welcome with a smile and hope. What you see is that, a lot of people came to our house afterwards, like the day after, and I needed people to understand what kind of physical and mindful I was, I didn't want people to come to my house like coming to a shiva, right? I don't want people coming sad and coming in and talking to me and about, how terrible this is. I wasn't there. I was like fighting, and I was like with a lot of hope, and I'm thinking I'm at that, state of mind. So I wanted people to understand that. So at the front of the house on the door, I put this sign, right? The next morning, thinking that maybe people when they come home, they will welcome, but they have to smile and be with hope. Otherwise, don't come to my house. And then we did many things, but this is one thing that I've shared with many people. I can share this with you also. The thing is here, one good deed a day, do one good deed of helping and giving every day with Alon Ohel in mind, and send him energy of light and goodness. Now, my daughter at this time, she was fighting right before. She was calling and doing, and then I saw her, on the side, and she was like crying every day. And I thought, okay, I gotta get her doing something, right? So this campaign that we did is because I wanted her to be doing something to help her survive and to help her cope with what's going on. And this is beautiful because we're continuing doing this. Because I believe that if we do something good for somebody else, it helps us cope. It helps him, the other person, with whatever they need. But if you're doing it and you're thinking about Alon, but while doing it, this beautiful energy, this beautiful giving energy comes to him, and it helps him survive until he's brought home back home. So if you want me, I can send you Slither. Now, as I said before, the only thing that helps me continue is this. I believe that we will succeed in changing the world only when we respond to challenges with love and kindness, not with hatred and revenge. And who said this is Mahatma Gandhi. And from that moment, from the 7th of October till today, I do this. I believe that this is the way to change things and challenge what's happening with love and kindness. That's why doing good in this world and doing a good deed a day will help Alon survive and be brought home. Okay, so these are the many things that we have been doing, and mostly I want to talk about the yellow piano. So on the right, this is the original piano. It says "Alone, you're not alone," and you can see on the top there's this like a light bulb, and it's like a light on the piano. So the person that comes and plays the piano, obviously, is in a giving mood because he's giving something from himself to Alon. He's playing for him. And that is wonderful. And the other wonderful thing that happens is when people play at piano, so many people gather around the piano. And then it's united, like people are united together for one thought, from thinking about the hostages, which is another good thing, right? And the other good thing is that it talks about you are not alone. Now, as you can see, there's many pianos all over Israel and also in the States. There was one in Washington. There's one in Miami, but there's also one in Washington, and there's Washington State. New York. It's in Washington Square Garden, and there's one in Los Angeles also. So that's just in the States, but there's also in many places in the world. I'll stop sharing. Okay. But you are not alone. The most important meaning of it is that we are not alone in this world. You are not alone in this world. Otherwise, you'll be like Tom Hanks in this island. Remember that he was taken and was it's called, I forget the name of the movie. We don't live like that. We don't live alone. We live in a community. Even you, right now, you are in your community, right? So if you're not alone, you have to see the heartache and of somebody else. So if somebody else is in a bad state, you have to be there for them, because that's what community is all about. You don't live alone in this world. You cannot put your head in the sand and not see somebody else, not see your neighbor, not see your friend, right? This is not community. This is not society. Society is about being part of somebody and helping together. So you are not alone is about that. It's about seeing what's going on in Israel and helping and making sure that the hostages come back home. And the fact that you took Alon and you're doing something so wonderful with that, which is amazing. This is it. This is about you are not alone. This is about Alon is not being alone because he's got you, right? He's got people who are thinking about him and doing everything they can to make sure that he is not forgotten, that maybe, your officials and government officials know about this, so they can talk to whoever they need to make sure that Biden does whatever to make sure that people come out, but with the agreement on everything. So this is about talking about it and doing something, because what happened in Israel should not happen again, should not. And terrorism is not just in Israel, it's all over the world. And we have to make sure that this is not something that we say it's okay. Alon is an innocent civilian who was kidnapped from Israeli land. Alon's brother, Ronen, his friends from Be'eri were kidnapped from their beds and they were murdered from their homes. This is something that we should not forget ever, ever. So I'm here to tell you about my story and the things that I've been doing to make sure that Alon is not forgotten, and that we're making sure. And the things that I'm doing also is doing tefillot, prayers for Alon and all the other hostages. I do this many times. This week, on Tuesday, you'll be like about 1 o'clock, I think, at your time. I'm doing tefillah with the Jewish community, the religious Jewish community in Misgav. So we're doing a beautiful prayer, and it's like a prayer meditation, because I do a lot of meditation, so it's a prayer meditation. And I think, I don't know if it's going to be this Sunday or next Sunday, because there's I know you heard about the Christian community of the vandalist community of Christians, and I know we need help from everybody, right? We don't just Jews. This is a humanitarian problem. This is a humanitarian issue. It's not a political issue. So giving to everybody and asking help from everybody is something that I've been doing also. So if there's a Christian community that loves Jews and love Israel and they want to help, I'm with them also. So I'm doing so many things. So I've talked a lot, I think. And I would love to hear you ask me questions or whatever you want to, that I haven't explained or I haven't talked about. I would love you to ask, and I would try my best to answer. So let's go for it. So I can open, I don't know how to do this, but I can open if it's possible for anybody to, I don't know how to do that. Do somebody there can help me with that? To make it sure that the others, or do I have to do this?
We got it. We did it.
Yeah, okay.
So everyone's muted and has to request to unmute. If anyone in here has questions.
It doesn't have to be a question. It can also be like something that you just want to say, because I don't want to make, there's so many questions people have asked me about if I know about Alon and what about the government and so many things, but I don't know, you're at, in the States, in New York, right? And maybe you have other questions that I've never been asked. So I'm for you. I'm here for you. So can ask me. And you can also, the people on the Zoom is fine also. If you want to ask, you can feel free.
Yeah, and we'll just say, those of you in Zoom, I think Sarah's writing something in the chat. If you have something that you want to ask, please, you can put it in the chat. I think Idit can see it. I think we can see it.
Yeah, I open it.
Oh, good, okay. And yeah, I mean, I'll just say, here in Youngstown, Ohio, we're very much thinking of you, and we don't want you to be alone, and Alon is not forgotten, and you're not forgotten, and just thank you for all of this. And then I saw Sherry, you had a...
Yeah, more of a comment, just your strength is amazing, and you speaking out against revenge and hatred and talking about the power of community is just so moving. So I hope you can feel the the love we have for you and your family, and the support that we all want to bring to you and your family and Israel.
Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot, you know, to know that you are not, we as a family, and that we are not alone, because sometimes it feels like it. But you know, even my community in Lavon are very with us, and they help us, but sometimes you still feel alone, because that's sometimes, after so many months, sometimes it's hard to understand how we can continue like this. But thank you. Thank you so much. Is there something else that you want me, you need me to say or ask, or, you know, if I'm thinking about what else you can do, that's probably like something that you want to know, what else anybody can do. It's just, you know, I'm probably gonna be next on the 22nd to the 26th. I'm gonna be in New York at the UN. So I'm coming to the States. You're said you're in Ohio, so that's a little far from New York. But it's, you know, it's continue my story. It's the fact that what I told you now, and about Alon, about our lives, and about everything is not just staying with you. It's like, keep it forward, you know, that movie where you know, the boy like did something, and it's continuing. That is it. It's just continue for you to continue telling my story. And if you have friends in other places, and even in your work or whatever, because it's not just like a Jewish thing, it's a humanitarian issue. So talking about the fact that you heard me, and that, about Alon, and just say things, and I, you know, that is it. And, you know, and about, you know, there's Alon's Instagram, and we have a Facebook page for Alon. So if you go inside that, if you can go out, we'll send it to Vered, and maybe Vered will send it to all of you, and just getting into that, and learning things that we have been doing, or sending it to other people, to, you know, because that's one of the media that can you can share things, and you can know how things, you know, what we're doing, and which is also good. And just the bottom line is just making sure that your president, your government officials are with this, and they're helping in the deal, making the deal, or whatever. I mean, that's, and energy-wise, when you think about Alon and you pray for him, it's very important to do that.
And Idit, with that in mind, I'd love to share a prayer for Alon, if that's okay with you.
To do a prayer now?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, of course. You can feel free.
Yeah. I wish there were the perfect words, and I don't feel like there are. And we do have hope, and we hope that that picture of you hugging him, we hope that that comes true again. And we just pray, God of our fathers and mothers, as you've cared for the children of Israel, we ask that you care for Alon, who is in need of help and shelter and a safe return. Be with him in these challenging times. Treat him with compassion, guard him safely through danger, and lend him a portion of your strength. And I'll just add, I hope that he gets a portion of your strength and the strength that you're creating through all of your efforts and these acts of kindness and the music, and I hope that he feels that. We pray for his safe return and that you get to hug your boy again soon.
Amen. Thank you. I don't know if Vered, I have to check with Vered. There's like for every hostage, there's like a prayer with because of Alon, where he's from his parasha, you know, and stuff. I will check if there's a special one that you can do. I know that the Zohar book, I don't know if you know him, Sefer Zohar. Sometimes they're Yosef, I think, from Perek, I have to check. Also, I don't know, whatever feels, I think it's about feeling and knowing what's right. I don't think there's a one way to do things. I don't think there's a one way of, so whatever feels right for you at your community is the best. That's how I see it, because, and I think music, if you sing and you send that music, because that's Alon's language is music. So what did I say? So that is good. You are willing to give this remarkable percentage about your family and all of that, other communities, or in a person families in either on Zoom or. Okay, to give it to other communities. Okay, Myra, okay. I do a lot of this talking. You mean communities in the States? I did one in England. I have not done it. You're the first one, I think, in the States that I've done this kind of Zoom meeting / presentation / whatever it is. But it is important, I think. It is very important.
I promise we'll keep talking about him, and all of us who are here today will be sharing with others in our community about what we heard. I have a feeling you're going to end up in one of my high holiday sermons, so we can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
I wish for better days for you, and we can't thank you enough for being here with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for taking Alon, as part of your congregation. It's so important, and we cannot let what happened to Hirsch and all the other 5 happen to Alon and all the others. We cannot. So we have to continue until they all come back home. Thank you. Thank you so much. And for me, it's a good night. For you, it's in the afternoon. I think. Thank you for your time, and I really do appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Idit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.